Hi everyone, welcome to Relatively Refined. My name is Patty. Today I'm sharing a favorite Christmas children's book and a much requested ginger molasses cookie recipe from my grandmother's recipe box. Let's enjoy a little Christmas tradition together. Now, my favorite children's book for Christmas, and the one that I cannot get through without crying, is this book. It is missing its dust jacket, so I may have to insert a picture of what it looks like. But it is another beautifully illustrated book, and it is called, it would help if I had it right side up, it is called A Christmas Like Helen's. And the author of this book is Natalie Kinsey Warnock, and the illustrator is Mary Azarian. Both the author and the illustrator have deep connections to the state of Vermont, where I live and where my family was raised. And Mary Azarian, who is the illustrator, is famous for her woodcut designs. So these illustrations are woodcuts. And Mary Azarian, while not born in Vermont, ended up moving to Vermont after college, and she actually taught art in the state of Vermont. So her artwork is just incredible. And for some reason, the woodcut design with snow and trees is spectacular. The author, Natalie Kinsey Warnock, is a Vermont author, and this story is about what it would have been like for her grandmother growing up in Vermont. So Helen is her grandmother, and Natalie Kinsey Warnock writes about what a Christmas like Helen's would be like back in, I believe it's the 19th century, and when they are using horse-drawn carriages to get around, and they are ice skating on a frozen pond in rural Vermont. And it's just a wonderful story. It even talks about baby horses being born. And this is my favorite picture. And when I tell you what it says, I think you'll understand why this resonates so much with me. So the book starts, to have a Christmas like Helen's, and then it goes on to talk about the various things that would need to happen in order for you to have a Christmas like Helen's. So to have a Christmas like Helen's, you'll hold your sister's hand going to the one-room schoolhouse that's a mile from home, and you'll walk there even on days when it's 40 degrees below zero. You'll have to not mind living in a place where winter lasts 8 months. So I think that is just wonderful. There's a great illustration in here that I opened right up to it. So again, to have a Christmas like Helen's, everyone will have skates except for you. But you'll slide on your boots and hold hands with your cousins to play Crack the Whip. And look at that. So this is a Christmas story about what Christmas was like, and you may be able to guess what Helen got for Christmas that year. But look at this. The illustrations are just unbelievable. Sorry about the glare, but it's just spectacular. And it really is such a beautifully illustrated story, and a beautiful story about what Christmas was like before we had electricity, and in rural Vermont, where you would take your sleigh and cut down your Christmas tree, and in your Christmas stocking you would get things like oranges, and it's a wonderful story. So this is very special to me because this was a gift from my husband when the first Christmas we had our middle son, so Charlie, who is now 20, was 6 months old when I got this book. And I just want to read the inscription. I'm going to try to do it without getting teary because it was so sweet. It was from my husband, Christmas of 2005. And it's from our boys, but they were 6 months and I think 3 at the time, so probably didn't have a big hand in writing this. So Christmas 2005, to Mom, our Christmas is not like Helen's. It's better because you make it that way. Love forever and keep making Christmas special. It matters to us. Love, Liam and Charlie. So, managed to get through that without choking up. I don't know why, it just gets me every time. It's very sweet and thoughtful, but that one gets me. It gets me because the whole book is just so nostalgic, and I think about my own grandparents and what their Christmases must have been like. And I don't know, it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And if you can get your hands on this book, it is one of my favorites. In a recent video, I shared with you the gift from my grandmother, which was this much coveted recipe box and her recipes, and we made a recipe together. And I also shared with you that in the recipe box was a recipe for her molasses cookies, which I distinctly remember from my childhood. And I told you that I wanted to make them. So I think today is the day. And I had so many nice comments about the recipes and wanting to share more. So I'm excited today to make some of her molasses cookies. I also had some people, I actually had one person ask about her to see her handwriting. So I'm gonna include an up-close clip of this recipe card. And the reason is I mentioned that she had beautiful handwriting, that she was a lefty. So you'll get to see it. Now I'm struggling a little bit with reading this card because it has faded over the years. And the first thing I saw on here was sour milk, 3/8 of a cup of sour milk. So I texted my mom and I said, is sour milk buttermilk? And while they're not exactly the same thing, she said that should be fine. So we're going to be using buttermilk for that. And I also thought 3/8 of a cup was interesting, not a half cup, 3/8 of a cup. So I've done my best to measure that out. So anyway, this is a recipe I distinctly remember from my childhood because I can remember my grandmother would make these molasses cookies and they were quite large and they were soft, which I loved. And she put raisins in hers, which I am a big fan of raisins. Unfortunately, in my house, not everyone shares that love of raisins, and I don't have any, and I don't have a car today because the college kids are home. So we're gonna have to make this without the raisins. I will include this recipe in the description box exactly as my grandmother wrote it so that you can make it the way that she did. I am going to be omitting both the raisins, and she also puts in hers half a cup of chopped Planters peanuts. And I don't remember that being in her recipe. So I'm not putting them in there. I'm not really sure. So I would love to make them exactly as is, but I don't have the peanuts and I don't have the raisins. And while I remember the raisins, I don't remember there being chopped peanuts in them. So I'll include the recipe exactly as written. If you make it the way that my grandmother made it, can you please let me know about the chopped peanuts, because I think that is interesting. Okay, I'm just seeing this now. At the very end, my grandmother wrote, sour milk is made by adding 1 teaspoon of vinegar to sweet milk. So I'm gonna use buttermilk. We're gonna see. I did not see that, and there is a difference between buttermilk and sour milk, but I'm gonna make this with buttermilk. So I am really going off script. I am so sorry, Grandma, but I'm going off script a little bit. I'm hoping I'll have the same nostalgic taste that I remember from her cookies. So enough yammering. Let me get this cookie dough made, because I do need to chill it before we drop it onto the cookie sheet. So let's get started. Okay, so I have my butter, sugar, and egg. I'm also going to add in a 1/4 cup of molasses. And then I have my sifted flour along with some baking soda, salt, ginger, and cinnamon, and I'm going to add it alternatively with my 3/8 of a cup of buttermilk. Some of the dry. And let that go on low so it doesn't spray everywhere. And I'm going to add the wet. Dry. So I'm going to scrape down the sides, and I'm going to turn my oven on now to 400, and I'm going to chill this while the oven is heating up, just because this is a very loose dough right now. So I'm going to let it chill just while the oven heats to 400. All right, I'm just going to drop these on a teaspoon onto parchment paper. My grandmother's recipe said to cook for 15 minutes, but I thought that sounded entirely too long, so I started checking at about 8 minutes, and honestly, I think these cooked for less than 10. I'm sorry about my oven going off, or the oven noise in the background. The fan is on. These cookies are so good. So I've already eaten one. I put 2 on a plate. I'm going to brew some tea. And I just want to give you my opinion on these, because these are just exactly as I remember my grandmother making. These are a cake cookie. They're soft, they're not crispy. They are so good, but I'm going to tell you something. I only cooked half of them because I need to go to the store right now and get raisins, because these are delicious. My family will love these, but for me to get the full experience of my grandma's molasses cookies, I need to have raisins in them, because that is what I distinctly remember biting into in her cookies. And I also remember that she would serve them she would deliver them in a coffee can. So each cookie would be like in the cylinder. I think her cookies were a little bigger. I went a little bit smaller on mine. And she would put them in a coffee can, and I believe there was, my mother will know this for sure, and you can comment, Mom, if you're watching. So I think I'm correct in that she would put a slice of white bread in the coffee can to absorb, maybe so they wouldn't go stale. I feel like I can picture that, because these are really, really soft and pillowy. They are so good. And they're really foolproof. My grandmother's recipe says 400-degree oven for 15 minutes. I didn't go anywhere near that with these. I think these were in about 9 minutes, and they were perfect. But also my cookies were smaller. So I think I would just start watching them. I feel like 15 minutes is an awfully long time for them to go in. So anyway, I thought after about 9 minutes, these were perfect. They are like, they're kind of a cakey, very delicate, and you can just pull them apart, and they're just so good. So good. But I need raisins in them in order for me to get the whole nostalgic feel. So, like I said, I made half of them. I'm going to go to the store and get raisins, and I will make the rest. But I hope you'll try these. The recipe will be linked exactly as my grandmother wrote it. Just be mindful, it does say 400 degrees for 15 minutes, and I do, in my oven, that they would burn. So start watching them around the 8 or 9 minute mark. And what you're looking for is just a little bit of brown around the edges, and they are perfect. So happy to have made these cookies with you. This was a lot of fun.